everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am reviewing the Uniquely Creative Colouring In pages. I received this one from my card making kit, and you receive a COPIC version that is designed for texters and you receive a watercolour version. And on their website you can go to the product selections and select the cut apart sheets, and in there there'll be a watercolour section with all of the options that they have available to purchase. These ones here are just for watercoloring, and then if you go to their search function, type in the word Copic, and then it will bring up the ones that are specifically for Copic colouring. And at the moment they have about 4 options. They have this one here, which is the Tradie Life. This is the one that I will be playing around with. They also have this one, which is the Secret Fairy Garden. It is adorable. They have this forest one, and they have the Aussie Tree Dwellers. They're the choices that you have for Copic colouring. And so today what I wanted to do is actually have a play around with them and see what I could create. I had tested it last night with the orange vested koala down the bottom, and that one is using my Kmart graphic markers. And what I thought I would do is I have the pastel set of the Ohuhu art markers, and I wanted to try those to see what they look like, to see the difference between that and the Kmart one. Any issues that you do see in the colouring, that is 100% me. I'm still learning at how best to do tonal colours and everything else, but these pages that are designed for Copic colouring, oh my god, amazing. And it's purely because I'm probably new to the market of colouring, but I've just been using my stamps on just like what I thought was smooth white paper and colouring to the best of my ability, and then fussy cutting them out or using a die to cut them out. And that's what I just thought it was until I played around with this specific paper. It is lovely to colour on. The saturation of the texture is amazing. I did like the Ohuhu colouring a lot more. Ohuhu textures, because they've got the brush nib rather than the normal texture nib, they just seem to be a lot more inky, and I really like that for this. However, in saying that, the Kmart ones do go on really, really nice. They colour really, really well as well. I'm not the best at colouring them in. I do find that with the Kmart ones, they are best to do one-on-one. There's only certain colours that I find that do melt into each other. However, with the Ohuhu markers, I do find that I get them to be able to blend a lot better. I guess in saying that, the other thing that both of these textures do well is they do layer really well. So with both of them, you can do tone on tone using the same colour very well. So with the koala here, I didn't find an orange that I wanted. I wanted one of those kind of like fluoro oranges for the singlet and for the hat. So what I did is I used a yellow first. I went all over, and then I went over with the orange that does come in the set. And I really liked the colour combination that came out. I did trial 2 things with the koala. I trialed doing the light colour first, then going over with the darker colour, then going in with the lighter colour. And on the left hand ear, I did the reverse. I did the dark colour first, and then I did the light colour over, just because I didn't think that I would like doing it that way, but I wanted to test it out just to see how it went. And I do agree with myself, because why wouldn't I? But I do think that the blending looks better where I have done the light colour first, gone over with a darker colour, then gone back with a lighter colour. It's not perfect by any means, but as I said, this is a me thing, not the paper thing, because I cannot speak more highly of this particular paper. If you're wanting to colour but you don't want to get into the stamping side of things, if you want to colour and you like doing fussy cutting as well, these sheets are fantastic. They allow you to colour in. You don't have to worry about bleeding of the black because it's printed on there. The paper is really, really nice, and it's very thick, and just you can tell it's a good quality. But you don't have to go out and buy some stamps. It's just whether or not these particular images that are available are what you're after, and whether or not it's something that you would be interested in doing. But I really hope that they come out with more of these. I do believe, I'll have it on the screen, that they retail for around $3 a sheet, and I can see why they retail for $3 a sheet. If you go out and buy a colouring book, although you could buy a whole colouring book for probably $3 to $5, it's going to bleed through the paper. It's going to go onto the next piece of paper. It's going to be rough. It's not necessarily going to be the nicest. I'm sure that there's more expensive colouring pages out there, just like what these ones are, but for $3, I think it's really great value. The amount of images that you're getting on the one piece of paper makes it also worth the money because you will be fussy cutting them out. I cannot speak highly enough of the Copic cut apart pages. It was so fun to colour in, to try different things, to see what I like and to see what worked. I also did, as you can see here, I did some layering of colours. So I wanted to get a brown. However, of course, it's a pastel set. It doesn't come with a pastel brown. So what I did is I laid all of the kind of colours that were in that family just to get it to look a little bit darker. And it's the same kind of concept as what I did with the singlet and the hat. I did a colour first and then I went over it to make a new colour. And it's something that I've been practicing because I really like that technique. It just means that if you don't have the colour in your wheelhouse, then you can go and make it. And this paper allows you to do that. When you're using more of a rough textured paper or a paper that has the ability to bleed everywhere, going over multiple times with the same color and then going over with another color, the bleed is very noticeable. The bleed, if there is any, is me. It's me going outside the line. Under the belt of the koala, you can kind of see a little bit of the texture coming through onto the belly of the koala. That was me. That wasn't a bleed from this texture. The edges are sharp. Everything about this sheet is what I want from practicing with colouring. The Kmart one is very similar. These are the Kmart textures that I did use. This is the brown for the tools that I used. They didn't bleed either. They did bleed through the back of the page. However, they didn't bleed onto my surface. And for that in itself, amazing. The last time I coloured with a purple and a black, I was doing a haunted house. Once again, using a stamp on what I thought was a good quality hard cardstock, and it bled through. It fully bled all over my mat. I can't get the colours off the mat. These, however, they did seep through to the back, but it did not go anywhere. I wanted to test it out again because I learned a lot from colouring in the koala, and I thought, why not? Because the backstory is I started recording the start of me colouring in the koala, and all of a sudden I realised that it wasn't recording after I got into that point. So I wanted to show you guys from the start what this looks like. I also layer this particular colour on quite a bit, and I go over it quite a bit to get the colouring that I wanted. So this is a quokka, so there's no bleed. Like, the toes are very fine. I'm trying to stay within the lines. I'm even taking the pen before the line just in case there was a bleed, but there wasn't. I could go right up to that line and it just coloured in perfectly fine. It was so smooth and buttery. As I said, I am so impressed with these pages. I can't wait to get some more, and I do hope that they come out with some more designs. This in a flower design, like a full-on floral, like what was in the, I think it's the fairy one. Oh, amazing. That would be fantastic if there was something along those lines. I'm new to Uniquely Creative as well, so there might have been it in the past, but the more that they have, the more fun I think it will be to colour in. So with the belt of the quokka, I do quite a few layers, and then with the jacket, I also do a combo colouring. I also wanted to show you guys what the Kmart version looked like because, as I said, I did the koala the night before. I chose to do this one, and with this one, I am doing it a bit differently just because what I found last night when I went over the light colour with the dark and then back over, it became very muddy, and I didn't like that. As I said, I think it's more to do with the type of marker it is and also the brush nib that it has. So for these Kmart one, I am doing the darker bit first, but I do like with the Ohuhus to do the light, then the bit of a dark to get the blend in. What I found is I went in with the lightest colour in this shade family, and I like the colour, but it needed that third colour to kind of blend in the darkness. So you can see down the bottom, it does to me look muddy, but once again, I can't stress enough, I am still learning. Please be nice. But on camera, it actually looks a lot better than it does in person. In camera, it looks tonal, the colours, which is what I was going for. In person, I guess from far away, I do see it. It actually looks better now that it's dried than what I thought it would. But I did need to go in with that third colour and just do that middle ground to make the lightest colour melt into the darkest colour. Kmart colours are going to be a bit more saturated, and I don't mean that in the sense of the strength of the colour. I just mean that in that I've got more variety. I don't have just pastels that I'm working with, so I can choose to use a deeper colour. This colour here is meant to be a peach. It is not a peach. It is a bright fluoro pink, and it is even pinker in person than what it is on the screen right now. Where they get the idea that this is a peach colour, no idea. But body of the actual character, when I was colouring it, I had a lot of reservations about it because I didn't think that it necessarily looked the best. But I'm just comparing it now side by side to the Ohuhu Grey, and using the three colours I think really adds to the depth and the texture, which I guess is the whole point of using markers to do your colouring. And I think that that's what the Ohuhu one was lacking. If I had more colour options, that would have been a lot easier to do a multi-colour shading, but I was working with what I was working with and trying to keep within the same families. So the body of this quokka here I do really, really like, and as I said, the more that it has dried into the page, the more I'm liking my image. We have gone for the pinks here just because girls can be tradies too, and why not? I also wanted to just see what another colour combination would look like here rather than the standard fluoro yellows, fluoro oranges, given that I did have a multitude of colours to use. This Kmart pack comes with 168 markers, therefore you've got a lot more of course to choose from. I go in and colour the glasses because I'm sure you've picked up on it by now, but I accidentally went outside the lines, once again learning, but I went outside the lines. So what I thought I would do is colour in these glasses, one because I hadn't done it on any others, and two because I don't know, I just thought I would try something different and see what it was like. Here I am putting in the red for the tongue. I did use this across both of the critters that did have one just because I did think it was going to be cute, and I didn't have a red for the Ohuhus. These have turned out really nice. The longer that they dry, the better that the image is. The koala from last night, I'm just showing you the difference between the two. It's practice makes perfect in everything, but practice makes perfect in regards to this sheet, how to use the colorings and what best works and what you like visually. I like the body of the quokka more than the koala for the Kmart, and in regards to the two Ohuhus, I like both of them. I just wish I had another grey to choose from. In the card set that I got, you got the COPIC colouring sheet, and you also got a watercolour piece of paper to colour in with as well. And although it's not designed for, I shouldn't say designed for, it's not marketed towards using textures to colour in on it, given that this does come with the set, I thought I would give it a try to just see what the colours look like on here. I have only done the one, and I just used the Ohuhu markers to colour in on it. It's a lot rougher, of course, it's watercolour paper, but I really, really like how this turned out. The colours blended, of course, so much better on the smoother cardstock, but I was definitely able to layer on my colours and not have a bleed through. I haven't tried this with the Kmart ones. I think I will try that next and just see if I do get a bleed because it is watercolour, but based on the Ohuhus and it layering so well and it not bleeding through, I don't think that I would have a problem. I was originally going to give this to my son to colour in with. I think I'm going to keep it now just so that I have, in a sense, a backup of the sheet because of using the Copic one. I'm just going to be colouring that for days. But I'm trying to think of how to describe it. See, okay, it's watercolour paper. It's a bit rougher. It's got a texture to it. A Copic piece of paper is going to be lovely and smooth, and also a brighter white. But I do really like how it layered. So although you couldn't get that smooth transition of colour, whether or not it is a user issue, and the more that I practice, the better I will get at blending the colours, whereas with the Copic paper, it helps you and it allows the ink to just move with you, whereas when you're using the dry surface, it sucks in and dries pretty quick. But it's stunning. I love how the colour has shown up. I only used the one colour and then layered on top of it with the one colour. So here I'm just going over the mouth just to make it stand out a bit, and it did look nice, and then it soaked through the paper. So I did go through a few times, but I end up going over a few times with the same colour that I started out with to do the highlight around the nose. And all of the places that I've highlighted, I can definitely see a highlight, but if I have blended it too much, it does fully sink in. This isn't a bad thing at all. It's watercolor paper. The thing I should be stressing out the most is both of these papers are phenomenal. There is no leaking through any of these papers. These papers are holding up to the ink. The COPIC paper has got more of a see-through effect on the back of it, as I would expect. The watercolor one has got nothing. The color, I could go over these colors like I would say at least another 3-4 times before I would even see a breakthrough of any color in the back. It is fantastic. If you are a watercolor person, if you like to do that type of coloring, I do highly recommend their sheets. They do have, of course, more in that section to choose from. So we've got about over 24 choices for their watercolor paper. And if you want to practice doing coloring, once again, going back to the whole thing of either not owning stamps or not wanting to go down the stamp avenue. For me, I do own stamps. I do like stamping. I've recently got into stamping a bit more because I do like being able to die cut out the stamped image. I just like the rounded off effect that a die gives, but I don't like the black ink bleeding. And even if you let the colors dry, based on the fact that my collection of textures is just a Kmart one, COPIC prices are not in my affordability market right now. It's not something that I'm going to be able to go out and start creating a collection of. They're just too pricey. But the Kmart ones, I think that 168 pack cost me $60 and it's fantastic. It's not going to bleed. They're not going to bleed on either of these pieces of paper, where they would if I brought a coloring book, they would if I used stamping. That adds into how much value you get for these particular pieces. Each page comes with a multitude of different images and different choices to color in. That it does make it value for money, because I'm not going to have the bleed out, which means I'm not going to waste that image. I'm going to hopefully like the end creation. And if I don't like the end creation, it's going to be my own fault from either picking the wrong colors or me drawing outside the lines. It's not going to be from the ink fusing with the ink pad and then getting the bleed that goes everywhere like that. I just really, really like these. I knew that I would, based on the feel of the COPIC paper. I knew that I would like coloring on it, but I do like it more than what I thought. I do like it more for the ohuhus. If you have a brush tip marker, I do think that you will really, really like it. However, the last quokka that I colored in with the pink vest, that has come up really, really well. I wouldn't choose to do the pink vest again, only because I picked the wrong pink colors to do it for. But the body, the longer it has sat, the longer that the color has sat on the page, the more it is soaked through, the more dimension it has, and I'm really impressed with that. But this watercolor sheet, I would definitely purchase this again. I love how thick the page is. The colors have come up so well. Sorry that this part here is so blurry. I couldn't get my camera to focus, but it's come up really, really well. The image is really nice. You can see a good version of it here. I'm really, really happy overall. If you're in the market for some images, if you want to start your colouring journey, I would highly recommend that you check out Uniquely Creative and just have a play around and see what you come out with. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good one and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.